I want to dive in deep and talk about some of the hardships you went through, because I think your story is very unique. You had a couple of instances throughout your journey where you had to stick to your values, but unfortunately those sticking to your values cost you a lot of money within restoration.
It hurt me a lot. My time had to be redirected back into things that I wasn't handling. I had a partner and had a controller, and I thought that they were, everything was going well, but then some events happened that it was very against, the way that I operate my business and my life, something I'm very passionate about. And I said, I can't let this slide, because if I did that, nobody would work for me ever again. I had to make that decision for myself and for my business, because it's a trust thing.
Welcome everybody to the I'll Be After Hours podcast, where we talk about propelling restoration forward. I'm your host, Alex Duda, and today I have the honor to be in the studio, actually in San Diego, with Rowdy Legg from team #Homeway Hustle.
How's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate having you at the event, and hopefully you got a lot of value.
Yeah, I had a good week, and I ended it here, and then I'm gonna leave here and go to dinner with everybody. And it's been a good week. Learned a lot of good nuggets. Reconnected with my restoration family here, so it was good and fun. So
awesome. Well, Rowdy, I want to dive in deep and talk about some of the hardships you went through, because I think your story is very unique. You had a couple of instances throughout your journey where you had to stick to your values, but unfortunately those sticking to your values cost you a lot of money within restoration. So
it did.
If you're cool with that, I want to go very deep.
Yeah.
But before that, just to kind of set the stage for our audience and who's listening, I'd like to, talk about your story a little bit, how you got into restoration, why you got into restoration, and just kind of, your growth trajectory so far.
So I found restoration by accident. I didn't really know what restoration was. I was doing construction for a long time before that, but didn't really know that this was a thing. I'd seen it, but didn't know it was something I wanted to get into. I just got linked up with another mitigation company through a weird happenstance, and we kind of built a partnership on they were doing the mitigation, and they sent me all their leads to do the rebuilds, and I did that for 5 years, along with doing kitchens and bathrooms and things like that, and we were successful at it. I mean, we built. I got it to 6.7 million.
Wow.
without being my own lead generator for that.
So you're just doing reconstructions.
Yeah, I was doing recon on through other companies. We would get some. Other mitigation companies would post, and then somebody would refer them to us, something like that. But most of it was solely focused on one mitigation company in town that I'd built a partnership with.
Nice.
And then that partnership kind of fell apart in 2022. It just started getting rocky. And then beginning of 2023, I decided that, I want to do this myself. So I had a little bit of equipment, and we had a big freeze event happen that Christmas of 22, which was wild. I did 90 jobs in three weeks.
Wow.
With me and a couple guys who had never done restoration before. Yeah. So it was a long week, and that just kind of propelled us into it. And then so that's kind of where we say, that was our company reset. Yeah, Homeway's been a thing for 8 years, but 3 years ago I flipped my entire model on its head. Whereas I was relying on everybody to get us leads, and so that the 0 to 11 million in 3 years is kind of real, because I started over with how I got jobs. So I had to figure out how to get jobs. And that's in restoration. That's a hard thing. And I did that just now. We just now started doing actual internet marketing. I mean, I would say 6 or 8 months ago.
Wow.
Before that, it was just straight plumbers, a little bit of insurance agents, and just word of mouth.
Wow. So that $6.7 million income stream, because of a rocky relationship, just keeps getting wiped out.
Yeah.
What was rocky? Was it a values issue? Or?
I think so. It was, me and him just started not seeing eye on some things. Anytime money gets involved and changing hands with things, he wanted more. He wanted me to take every single job, and I'm like, I'm not taking every single job, because that was a big part of his income was my referrals to him.
Interesting.
And so me and him just stopped seeing eye to eye on those things, and then just decided to, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, so I kind of had to start getting myself prepared.
Yep.
I'd bought a little bit of equipment and kind of started talking to some plumbers, but I couldn't really put it out there because I still had a relationship with them, and I would be would be stepping on his toes. And then,
Yeah.
and then one day I was so scared to do it, because if I cut this off, all those jobs, 5 or 6 jobs a week, we're getting pulled
away.
from me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so I have to stop doing this, and I got to figure out how to do this on my own.
Wow.
And in Memphis, it's not a super competitive. It's a small town. It's not super competitive, and so I was able to get in with some. I had some relationships with a couple of plumbing companies already through just friends and doing work with them, and then we just hit the ground running. I just got online and started learning some plumber tactics with Shane O'Dazier was he's the, if you want to learn plumbers, that's a really good guy to get into with that. And I know we've talked about him before, but. So I got in with Shane and just started learning plumbers.
Yeah.
And we started doing really dang good.
Yeah.
At the plumber game, and we did it for. We were averaging. I say for a while they're averaging 6 to 10 jobs a week. Almost all plumbers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I mean, a lot of people, even in our network, they got into plumbers because of Shane's tactics and stuff like that, and part of the program of going 0 to 1. So. Yeah. How would you, like, if somebody's listening here and they're looking to get into plumbers, like what, watch Shane's YouTube channel, or is there
Shane puts
magic
out a lot of
formula?
he puts out a lot of free nuggets online. There was a guy named Caleb in Washington D.C. area.
Oh yeah.
He built a $10 million restoration company off of
just watching his
Shane's
YouTube channel.
And what's crazy, I'm not going to say the tactic because it's kind of it's a thing that he teaches within his thing, so I'm not going to tell what it is, but there was a tactic that we use. It's like it's the sauce, and he had already sold his company. He got his company $10 million and sold it for. I'm not gonna say we sold it for, but he sold it for pretty good money, and he didn't even know this tactic. And he was like, "Well, that would have made it a lot easier." I'm like, and so it's kind of funny because he literally got it to there off of just watching what gave out on free YouTube. I know a lot of guys in the coaching space, which I'll say is, we'll give you the information and then sell you the implementation.
Yep.
And he never bought the implementation. He just the guy was a Marine and just was a workhorse and just did it himself.
Yeah,
so,
Caleb's a badass.
Yeah, so that's how I just went hard on plumbers, and then still my companies were really good at the like the neighborhood Facebook pages, like all the different suburbs and stuff like that. We dominate. We hit those pretty hard. So anytime what we do is like anytime somebody says I need a plumber, we'll get on there and say what I always say is there's a lot of really good plumbers recommended on here, but if you have any damage, we can help you with that. Yeah. A lot of times it works.
That's awesome.
So.
What was the hardest part of going from 0 to 11 in 3 years?
That's a steep trajectory and a big learning curve. And a lot of times you're losing money and you don't even know it because we talk about this. I'm a Jack. I'm not a George. I'm I make the phones ring, put the money at the top, and then at the time I felt like I had somebody that was helping manage all the bottom of it, and we were made a lot of decisions there, but that's the hardest part is just how fast you have to go.
Yeah.
Going from 0 to 11 million in 3 years is, you got to buy a lot of trucks, and trucks break down, and you can't afford to buy a new truck, so you got to buy a piece of crap truck, and sometimes it costs you more money trying to keep. Like we got a truck right now, like it was my first truck I bought when I got into restoration, so it's funny. All my trucks we have nicknames for them. Like this one's called the Turtle. I don't know. I have no idea why we call it Turtle, but we do it. Then we bought this big extraction truck, and we named it Frank the Tank. It actually has Frank the Tank tattooed, branded on the front of it. But all of our trucks we have a quirky nickname. But the Turtle, we'll go fix it, go put $500 into it, and it'll run for 6-8 weeks, and then put another 500 into it. But now I told my team, I was like, I'm going to get a new truck. I'm just tired of this because the opportunity cost of it being down.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, it gets down, then you got to go rent. We rent anytime we get super busy or something like that, we'll go rent. We have a relationship with the Penske dealership. It's like right around the corner from our office. So they give us a pretty good deal. Then you got to go rent a Penske for a week. And then you don't have shelving in it. You don't have all that stuff. So I think the infrastructure of it is hard, and just finding the right people to negotiate, to get in and start making calls and to get the money flowing in faster. And every store knows cash flow is horrible in restoration. The money's good, but getting it is hard. And just trying to figure out that cadence and how many people do you need to make this work? How and I was in growth mode. I'm like we're gonna grow this thing. So hiring a lot of people
Yeah.
to grow this thing because I'm a good marketer and we were good. But sometimes if you make a big bet and it don't hit, then now you're top heavy.
Yep.
We built like for last year, we were shooting for 15 million. And at the beginning of the year, we had a really good plan and we're on a good trajectory. Then just some things happened and we just kind of took a dip. And so we didn't get there. So when you plan for 15 million, but you only hit 11, there's a lot of capital expenditure in people and marketing things that we were doing that kind of hurt for the year. So we didn't have a really good year net profit wise last year.
So what's one thing you would do differently, knowing what you know now?
One thing I would do differently now, like my whole career or just in this?
In restoration, on the journey from 0 to 11, for somebody sitting there listening and feeling your pain points, what would you advise them to do differently?
Know your numbers. That's one thing I've always, and that's something I'm having to do now. I didn't really realize it, but on when you put our story at me speaking the other day, going from Jack and learning to be a George. I mean, I think that's kind of what I'm doing, kind of the journey I'm on right now.
Yeah.
Like I've never, until the past couple months, never, and it's embarrassing to say it, like got into my QuickBooks. Never done that. And now I get in there every day.
Yeah.
And I just get in there and just poke around.
Yeah.
Just start to look at stuff, look at numbers, starting to find things because I know that if I'm gonna get to the next level where I want to go, knowing those numbers, I'm not going to build the empire that I want to build with, a main location and multiple locations that I know and how the money flows and taxes. And I got to learn, I got to get better at all that stuff because, I lost a partnership and that was kind of his deal. Yeah. And so number one, I don't want to say I'm going to be like gun shy or traumatized by that, but you can't help not be. Yeah. And so even my wife had to jump back in the business and I've told her it's her face. I'm not hiding it, but she's kind of scarred by the events that happened the past couple months. And so she's kind of being a holder and trying to be a keeper of all things because of the trauma of kind of what happened to us with having to let go of my COO and my controller within 1 week. I mean, that's a hard thing to have to do for any business. I don't care how structured and good you are. You lose your operator and your money operator in 1 week.
Yep. We'll dive into that here shortly. Yeah. So as a Jack, your numbers a little bit more. Do you feel like it gives you more context? Like even though you might not master your numbers, if you know them a little bit, you could at least sniff out the bullshit quicker.
Exactly. Know your, like if you're looking at your month, and if you're doing your books correctly, you can look at the revenue trends. You can look at profit trends and see, all right, we had a good revenue this month, but why was our net profit not good? Like what did we buy? What did we spend? Did we make a big mistake? Yeah. Did we have to, I know as restorers, I've bought a lot of refrigerators. Man, I've bought so many refrigerators. I'm tired of buying refrigerators. Yeah. Because, they slide them out and they don't pay attention. They ding the door. Yep. And the door was probably already dinged, but guess what? Now the customer's like, I want a new refrigerator because you dinged it again.
100%.
And so just being able to look and see, like, where did we spend money in a weird place this month? Why did this drop? Why did this go up? So get in there and looking at being able to get in there and just understand the books better now. Yeah. It's something I'm actually enjoying. Yeah. Because I get to see, I feel more in control of my business now because the way I used to be was just all gas, no brakes, just make the phone ring, do every job. Yeah. But you start looking at things and you're like, man, I thought I did good on that job. And then you actually look at it and you broke even, or hell, you lost money on a big job because you didn't pay attention to numbers. Yeah. Especially when we're doing retail construction. Like obviously doing recon and the insurance, if you just forget something, you just send in a supplement. It's beautiful.
On retail, it's not like that.
But when you're in retail, if you're doing a kitchen remodel addition and you forget to charge for something, guess what? That's on you. Yeah. Because you gave them a lump sum bid. I mean, if you find something that's just crazy egregious, you never would have known it. Then I'll have that conversation in the front end. Like, this is the price unless X happens. We find something, you tear a wall open, the whole wall's rotten, they're about to fall in. Obviously, I couldn't have known that. But knowing you're paying attention to your numbers, pay attention, getting into your QuickBooks and seeing stuff and having somebody outside look at them too. We're partnering with. I'm getting a fractional CFO next week. Nicole Amelia, I'm super excited about partnering with them to give some clarity to the whole thing. Really clean up our books and standardize it so that we can so I can hold myself accountable and be able to hold my team accountable, because we're about to shift the way that we keep directors, what their role is in the actual business. So if I could tell anybody, like, to pay attention to your numbers, because me not paying attention to my numbers has kind of put me in some tight spots.
Yeah, what I tell people, it's like your journey in restoration is a chapter of your life, and you're becoming the person that could be a savvy entrepreneur. And eventually, if you sell your restoration business, so many people go into depression when they get a shit ton of money because they don't know what to do with it, because they don't know how to allocate it and where it goes. But if you learn to master your numbers now as a jack, then you'll be unstoppable. You'll sell your business for 40 million, 50 million, and instead of like putting it in this high interest savings account or going to give it to the money man to get taken advantage of, you could be in charge of your own destiny.
For sure.
So let's talk more about that tough decision. And you kind of alluded to it. COO and controller get fired in the same week. And that cost you a lot. Like, that hurt a lot.
Yeah, it hurt me a lot. Obviously, time. My time had to be redirected back into things that I wasn't handling. And then, the thing that stings me the most is, like I said, my wife. My wife's always been in the business, but I had her home. She'd come in and just look at things, but for the most part, like, when I say, like, my wife was at home baking cookies, like, she literally was at home baking cookies. We live on a farm. I have a lot of chickens and stuff like that, and agents and plumbers, they love fresh eggs. And so actually I got stickers made with egg cartons, and she was collecting eggs every day, and I was giving eggs to agents and to plumbers, and she literally, it's like expensive cookies, like at baby showers. They're like super cool, and each in their own individual package. Well, I bought all the stuff to make, or I didn't, my wife bought all the stuff to make those. And so she's literally making cookies, and we were giving them out to agents and plumbers we were making them with their logos on them, and making them with our logos on them, so like that, and give them out as to referral partners. And so my wife having to jump back in the business and work 50 hours a week now to jump back into our books and jump back into AR and AP. That's the thing that's really, like, stings me every day, is that I kind of lost, that was something I was very proud of, that I was able to, my wife was able to be at home with my kids. I have 3 kids, and we homeschool our kids. So that takes a lot of time. And so, but there was just a big, I'm not going to say any names on here, but, like, there was just I had a partner and had a controller, and I thought that they were, everything was going well. But then, some events happened that it was very against, the way that I operate my business and my life, something I'm very passionate about. And I said, I can't let this slide, because if I did that, my business nobody would work for me ever again. So I had to make that decision. For myself and for my business, because it's a trust thing at that point. Like, if your people don't trust you in your business, then they don't trust you and they don't want to work for you, then you're screwed. So I had to cut that, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because we were planning our forever. We were about to get married. Literally, we were about to be an actual partner on paper, and we were about to get married. We were about to go off into the sunset. But
everything happens for a reason. That's what they say.
That's why I said, like, that. What happened was going to happen. Whether it be this year, next year, 5 years, it was going to happen because of some things I started finding out. But I'm just glad it happened before the ink was dry on the paper. So
I didn't make this actionable, because I know there's somebody listening to this podcast right now that's like, man, I've got this employee or even this business partner that is against my values, whatever it might be, right? Lying, stealing, cheating, whatever it might be. We won't disclose what this was specifically. Do you regret cutting it out right away and just taking quick action? And would you recommend that to somebody? Or do you think, like, waiting for a time for the strategic perfect moment is the way to do it?
No, I think when something like that happens, and when anybody in your business, whether it be the receptionist or the tech that just started 2 weeks ago, or your business partner, if something happens that goes against all of your moral code and how you operate your business and your house and your family, anything that goes against that, you have to cut it immediately. I've been terrible at firing people, terrible at it. I'm getting bored. But, like, this is one thing I heard. Like, I can't remember what it was called, but if you have somebody in your business and they came to you and said, I want to quit. If your immediate instinct isn't to talk them out of it, then they have to go. Then they need to go right then, because they're just keeping them around. They're not really adding value to your business. But when something big happens, a big moral action or a big character action, people eventually show you who they are, and whether or not you give them the time to do that, it's up to you. But I think if something happens like that, you got to cut that immediately, because the problem's just going to fester. The rumors around the office are just going to get worse, and the rumors around town are just going to get worse. That happened over there, and it's like FOMO. You don't know when things like happen. You don't know how far it's going to go. Because it's like when you go out to a restaurant. If you go out to a restaurant, like, most people don't leave bad reviews. They just don't come back. And
100%.
Same thing with our business. Like how many customers, like, through the grapevine are going to hear about this terrible thing going on in your business. I'm not working with those guys. He lets this happen. So you got to cut that. You got to cut that immediately. And then sometimes those decisions are going to be extremely painful. Extremely. And it's going to take months or even years to recover from some of that, because especially if it's a business partner, when they're so deeply embedded and can literally signing checks, and we're still uncovering things of like stuff that was, like, whether intentionally or unintentionally, like, they were handling, or whether or not it got swept under the rug or whatever happened. I'm getting phone calls now of, like, I've been talking to this person for months and still not handled. So it's painful. Sometimes, and sometimes you may feel it's much less painful just to let that go, but it's not going to get any better. It's if you let those things go, it's going to explode one day, and then it's going to be completely unmanageable.
100%.
So that's why you got to go.
Cut the cancer out. And I know we're being super sensitive here. And before I ask this question, full disclaimer: there's no allegation of stealing or of money laundering or anything like that. That's not what happened here. But I want to give an example just to demonstrate, like, where is the line? So if a technician steals $100 from you, is that it's an immediate? Like, there's no, like, the magnitude of the action, as long as it goes against the values, like, it doesn't matter if it's a small magnitude or large magnitude. If they show the value infringement, they're out.
They still $100. What happens when they find $5,000? We were doing a job during the freeze just a couple weeks ago, and we'd packed out these people's the whole house. But I was in there and I was about to tear the shelf down, and because I just had the great idea. It was the first day of the freeze. I was like, man, I'm gonna go demo some stuff today, and I worked the whole day with them. That was a terrible idea, but I reached up on the top shelf and I felt something. It felt like a bank envelope, and I pulled it out and I looked at it and shook it, and I was like, that's a lot of money in there. Immediately just walked in, just took it to I didn't open it. That ain't mine. I just immediately took it to them, and the customer's like, you know what? I forgot about that. I think she told me it was like $5,000 in hundreds.
Wow. Just
sitting on top of the shelf. They'd gotten the money out for some specific reason. But if you're a tech that makes $15, $20 an hour, $5,000, that's a lot of temptation. And but like I said, if there's still 100, there's still 1,000. So you got to cut that. You got to cut that. Any deviation from your values, especially values and character things. They got to go.
Unapologetic.
It's like one thing with, like Dave Ramsey says. That's the one thing I've, like, in his organization. Like, I don't care who you are. Any infidelity against your partner, you're fired. Because if you'll cheat on your spouse, you'll cheat on me. If you're gonna cheat on your spouse and your kids and and do that, what are you gonna do to me? So that's one thing I learned that a long time ago. I read his book and I was like, that's a pretty good. That's the way it has to be, because
it sucks. In the moment, you just want to hold on, but you got to do what you got to do, and I commend you for doing that. I know it was a very tough time, but it seems like you're on the up and up now. Things looking better. We've it was kind of a culture killer for a little while, because there was. I'm having to go back in and do things that I wasn't doing before. My wife had to come back in and start doing things, and sometimes you start seeing things, and you have to hold people accountable for things that they weren't doing and things that may have been getting away with. And so you have to, and just the trauma of it. Obviously, I'm not in a good mood every day. I'm not coming in there. When I used to come in there, before this happened, I was
I was fun. I was a sales guy. You know, I'd come in and teach the guys training and go and do all the things. I was fun. But now I got to come. Now I'm coming in every morning, 5 a.m. And then I'm finding out stuff. So I'm pissed off, and I'm acting out of character, and I don't mean to. And so I'm having to do things different. Yeah. And so when you have to change the way you're coming to your business every day, some people don't like that. Yeah. And I lost some good people because of it, because you know, it got kind of hectic for a while. You know, money gets tight. You know, people, you know, systems aren't getting, you know, things that used to get done this way aren't getting done that way anymore. So stuff starts falling through the cracks, and you know, customers get mad because some piece of information didn't get over. The techs are mad, and so that was the hardest part. Was just the culture shock that took me, because I'd have 3 all hands meetings with the whole entire company to like tell them, you know, we had to make 3 big changes. Wow. You know, and so that was it wasn't fun.
Well, you stuck to your values, and that's very important. I think you're going to go very far because you're not negotiating against your values. Yeah, but now, you know, now we've got in a few new good people, and I've, you know, I've laid the roadmap for some new directors. You on our call last week, me and you set some pretty hard deadlines for me, and obviously, you know, whether I do them or not, it's up to me. But you know, I try to respect, like, hey, you know, this is my coach, and this is, he's done it, so. You know, if he, you know, because when you, and I've not been good at this for a long time, but like people will tell me things. I'm hard headed. I'm, you know, sometimes you got to find out shit the hard way, and I found out a lot of stuff the hard way, and I've gotten, you know, and I've gotten some, I told you shows, but one thing I've learned is, like, if I want you to keep pouring into me like you do, like you have for the past year and a half we've worked together. If I want to keep you pouring into me, you have to trust me that I'm going to listen to you. Because if you tell me things, if you tell me you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and I don't do it, then you're just going to stop telling me stuff. You know, if I do what you tell me to do, and it ends up being wrong, then then we'll have to figure that out. But that's why I like, especially when we have, you know, those meetings. Hey, we're gonna do some real strategy. So I'm looking forward to, you know, the shift in my director model. I think that's going to be really big for us to hold, you know, have those people at the top of each department. Because you think, oh man, I can't afford this person, and then me and you draw it out on the whiteboard and say, well, they're going to make you this much money. In net profit. And you're not going to give them that. You're crazy. You know, if they can make you that much net profit. Then what's the problem? Do you think you can get there without them? Probably not. Well, then hire them. And so I know that's the journey we're on right now. We're, you know, going to get the CFO going, and then and we're on the road. You know, getting started with a recruiter. And I know I'm going to find that badass that wants to come in and manage my $11 million in madness. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, for those of you listening, follow along, #Homeway Hustle. #Homeway Hustle. And we were on, if you see my bracelet, we have thousands of these, thousands of these made, give them out to people. So it's kind of our little thing. And it came, and you know, we R&D. I was at a roofing conference, and I can't remember this guy's name, but his company is called Crest Exteriors, a roofing company. Sam. Sam something. That dude's amazing. And he said in town they start, like, people don't even call them Crest Exteriors, like they're Crest Hustle. And I was like, I'm stealing that, and because Homeway Hustle, obviously it flows pretty good. I was like, that dude's not my market. I'm stealing that. So it's on back of T-shirts, it's on trucks, it's everywhere. It's kind of our thing. That's awesome. That's just that's our little mantra. You know, we hustle until we get it done. So. That's awesome. And where can people find you? Are you open if anybody wants to reach out to you? I'm on every platform. I mean, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You can message me directly. Joseph Rowdy Legg is my name on Facebook. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person with those 3 combinations, so not gonna be hard to find. And then our you know, Homeway Construction Restorations is our Instagram. Our Instagram is Homeway Memphis, and then our Facebook page is Homeway Construction Restoration. We do lots of funny TikToks. I have my social media, our marketing director she's really good. So she's always making the funny, quirky
There's a lot of people out there that, you know, we obviously come up with our own ideas a lot, but there's a lot of platforms we follow, and we're like, yeah, we're doing that one tomorrow.
Yeah, they're really fun to watch, and if you need some inspiration on your social media, for sure, follow that.
That's something that's fun. That's something I've always done. I've always been, you know, marketing is, I know it's super important. I've always been pretty good at it. So now I finally found somebody that's, you know, finally found someone that gets it.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
awesome.
I'm super excited about it.
Cool, man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on this beautiful night after
Yeah.
Evolve, and can't wait to keep growing together, man.
Awesome. See you
Let's do
soon.
it.
All right, let's go.